and gentlemen, we're about to get started on an underdog draft. We're just waiting for it to fill, and we got Jake and we got Dan. So we're about to get into it and get real. So how are you guys?
Doing good, doing good. Excited to nail down some underdog best ball values.
Yeah, man. Awesome to be competing with you guys tonight, man. Pleasure following all your work. Keep up the great work, man.
Good deal. Good deal. Yeah. So looks like we're still stuck at 3, so it's going to be a few minutes at least while we get this filled up. But yeah, so I haven't done too many of these yet. Been working on other projects, but I know you've been doing a lot of these, haven't you, Jake?
Yeah, I've done quite a few. I'd say like one of the biggest things I've noticed on underdogs relative to other sites, and I'm actually working on a piece on this right now, is that it seems like there's a lot of early round value on running backs. I feel like receivers kind of across the board, at least in the first maybe 5 or so rounds, are being drafted just a bit too high. I mean, you got guys like David Montgomery going in end of the 3rd round, J.K. Dobbins beginning of the 4th. I really like some of the later round running back value, Josh Jacobs in the 5th. I mean, so yeah, I've definitely found myself loading up on more running backs than what you might consider optimal early on in these drafts, but I really like the teams I'm getting. So
good deal. Yeah, I've just got to make a mental note to avoid the dynasty aspect. I've been really limited on the amount of drafts I've done this year, but Dynasty and Devi, I've been going strong there. But I'm going to change that. That's why I'm going to get on as many of these underdog drafts as possible. So, what about you, Dan? What have you been up to?
Kind of the same, man. Get my feet wet here in the best ball, and as you mentioned, it's tough breaking out of that dynasty mode. Us dynasty lovers, you get a little age discrimination in fantasy football sometimes. So, you got to balance that. But it's been fun. I mean, Jake brings up a good point, man. There's some, running back values. There's a lot of value to be had in these drafts. I do think it's a good time to be drafting early here and getting a jump on it.
Absolutely. Okay, well, we added some people here. We're getting close. We got 4 more teams and we'll be good to go. So good deal, and then it'll start about a minute after we get filled up. So we'll be going here shortly. Yeah, I've been working day and night on the college product. We're about to kick that off next month, and so I want to make sure we have plenty of content up when that goes live. So really been burning the candle on both ends there, and then we're also going to have a lot of Devi content out as well. Which, I mean, call me biased if you want. Devi's the best format there is. If only, all right, so we only need 3 teams now. If only we had more opportunities to build Devi leagues and didn't have to go through so many steps. It would be, I think it would be something that would take off. So hopefully in the future we can get something like that going. But yeah. So, and another thing, Jake and I will be starting up a little podcast. We'll probably put out a couple of those a week. So as soon as I get some of this college and Devi stuff put together, we'll start recording those, and so you can look forward to that. There'll be shorter ones, so we'll get more of them out to you. All right, 2 more teams. We'll be good to go.
I don't know where you find all the time there, Wes, man. I'm impressed. I was listening to our mutual friend Ross Tucker's show there, where putting out all those statistics and data.
Yeah, well, I tell you, it's time that I sacrifice. So long hours, man, long hours, but it's worth it. It's worth it.
If I had 3 wishes, one of them would definitely be for Wes's work ethic. I mean, it's unparalleled. It blows my mind every season. I mean, I'm incredibly impressed by everything Wes does. Oh, and here we go.
Well, you worked at PFF.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know the grind.
You know what those guys are like.
Oh yeah.
If you wanna keep one of the top roles at PFF, you gotta work your tail off.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right. So I'm in the 10 spot. I'm very optimistic that someone like Austin Eckler could fall to me. Where is so like, given what ADP is right now, where's your guys' favorite spot to draft at?
Yeah, I like the middle, right where I'm at, 6 or 7 is my favorite. It always has been. I just feel like it's the I mean, I guess you could make the claim for the end of the round for picking up some guys that slip, but I like the middle. I think I catch a lot of guys that people are sleeping on right in the middle of the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love to be able to stack. So those middle picks give you some different options in different drafts. Here at 111, I'm a little bit at the mercy of seeing how things fall to me.
Yeah.
That's one of the tricky things with picking at the very start or very end. It's you just have such a big gap between picks. I mean, it's really tough, and you really are at the mercy of the draft. I'm a really big fan of like 1.03, 1.04. Those I think are just excellent picks because I'm a big fan of McCaffrey, big fan of Eckler, and I can always grab one of those two guys from that spot.
Yeah, pretty much across the board, all formats. I hate drafting in the top 4. Especially I hate the 1.1 pick. If it's a rookie draft, sure. Definitely. But even in Devy, I feel like a lot of times my guy is gonna fall to me a couple picks later. So I usually try to trade out of the 1.1 unless it's like a unanimous belief in a player. I'll stick there, but it's rare. All right, so we got Jonathan Taylor off the board. Carp Golf has 10 hours to make this pick.
Yeah, I think we may have accidentally done a slow draft here.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's something I can change.
I hope so.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If not, I don't know what we would do.
Suppose we could just restart.
Do you have you made the league, so you might have commish powers.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's a setting I can change. Change the name.
Yeah, that's no good. What we could do is create another league. We could just draft this one in the background.
Yeah, that may be our best bet here. Let's see what I can do.
Jake the newbie commish.
Yeah, first time creating an underdog league doesn't exactly go smoothly. All right. Oh, maybe private drafts are only slow drafts.
Really?
Maybe. Let's see.
That is something we did not anticipate.
No. Oh yeah, maybe because I don't think I was given the option.
Yeah. All I've done are the BBM3s and
yeah,
side.
me too.
I did not anticipate this.
Yeah.
Let me send Carp a message. Can you message the people in the league?
Don't believe so. I think there's no like lobby chat or anything like that.
Okay. Let's see.
Yeah, it looks like stuck on slow. We could do a $3 fast if this. Let's see. Yeah, so that would have a 30-second pick clock, huh? I guess that's just because of the way the lobby's organized. That's very strange.
That might be what we have to do here.
Yeah. So
we learned something tonight.
Yeah, no kidding. I was completely unaware of that. Okay, I threw that new draft link. Oh, okay, reposted in Underdog. Gotcha. Sorry for the hold up. Yeah.
No, it's not your fault. We didn't know.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm signing into this link you just put up there.
Wouldn't it be funny if we didn't get in it?
Bless. I DM'd you the new link.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Okay. Well, I'll have to fill this one up. Are you in, Dan?
I'm in there.
Okay.
All right.
So 3 teams in, 9 to go. Oh, yeah, this is a little different. It's all right, though.
Is there, or sorry to interrupt. I was just curious. Are there any guys in these first 2 or 3 rounds that you guys just aren't touching?
You know, I don't like McCaffrey as much as you do, and it's not because not that I don't like McCaffrey. I like McCaffrey. I'm not taking him in the top 3 picks. You know,
Okay.
so you know, it's more of it's not a no touch. Like somebody was asking me earlier, dynasty question about Treylon Burks. You know, do I just completely ignore him? And I'm like, whoa. Yeah, there's no such thing as completely ignore. You know, everyone's going to come into a value spot. And even if you don't want that player, you can use them as a trade chip because there's people out there that'll trade for these guys that, you know, maybe that you don't like. So, yeah, I wouldn't throw the ignore word on there or into the, you know, equation, at least for me.
Cooper Kupp's a little rich for me where his ADP is. So I don't see
I definitely agree on Kupp. I think especially on a half PPR site like Underdog, I just can't take Kupp in the top 3. On DraftKings, I have a tough time deciding between him and Eckler for my number 3 overall player. I think I still lean Eckler, but it is really close.
All right. Carp just took McCaffrey in the other league.
Oh, there you go. All right. Well, that's a little fun. We'll have
something in the background. Yeah.
Yeah, some multi-tabling going.
And I'm not drinking tonight. So, you know, beer free. I'm gonna do this 100%. So
okay. Another thing that I found really interesting about these drafts is that they're only 18 rounds, and it feels like you can never really be perfect at every position like you could be in, say, like a 20-round draft. So where are you guys typically making like your constellations, and like what positions do you find yourself, you know, prioritizing in these drafts?
Well, I think at least for me, the position I'm always going to wait on probably longer than most is at quarterback. You know, there's stack scenarios out there that if I just happen to fall into a couple of players, you know, I'll consider a quarterback a little earlier. But yeah, I usually wait a little bit on my quarterbacks.
Yeah, I definitely lean the same way. What's interesting is that most of the best ball data seems to suggest that you can get by just fine with 2 quarterbacks. But something that I didn't really expect is that like 3 tight end and even 4 tight end builds have been pretty successful. So I'm really trying to avoid, like, I think that was a mistake I was making a couple years ago, was drafting way too many 3 QB teams. And that's something I'm really trying to avoid doing now.
Yeah, I definitely made some of those mistakes when we were doing some of our best ball live streams. Is I would get into conversations and talking about things, and then I'm like, oh crap, I did not draft. I only drafted like 1 or 2 tight ends. And I'm like,
yeah. Do you think
it's not the most exciting position? So
yeah, I mean, I really feel like after those first 3 tight ends, like after Pitts, Andrews, and Kelsey are off the board, I'm pretty much good waiting until like round 9 or 10. before I take my first tight end. I'm not a Kittle I could get behind, I suppose, but I don't love Waller at cost. So I'd really rather just wait.
Yeah, I would agree. And then, without Cooper, you got Schultz. I like Schultz as well, and then Goddard. But we'll see how that goes with AJ Brown now. That may not be the greatest. I'll tell you a guy that I like though is that I think it's good. The quarterback situation definitely plays right into his skills is Pat Freiermuth.
Mm-hmm.
I like Hopkins to bounce back this year. And I think, Jake, to your point, I'm definitely more disciplined at the quarterback position. Last year, I got a little too cute, I think. Tua, I was kind of just trying to get that extra quarterback in there, and that didn't work out so hot. So definitely being more disciplined and focusing on the running back and receivers and a little less on quarterbacks and tight ends.
Oh, we lost somebody, so we're waiting on 5. And we'll get going here. I mean, I'm not going to say that I don't like half PPR formats, but I prefer I prefer full PPR. It's just
Jake gives a good reminder that this is half point PPR here in Underdog. You can lose sight of that.
Yeah. I don't know where I fall. I mean, I kind of like the balance of half PPR, but yeah, I don't know. There is something just like more psychologically soothing to the higher scores in PPR, and yeah, I do kind of like that. My home league is PPR.
Yeah, I am no longer in a home league. It's been, almost a decade since I left that league.
I think it's my only one quarterback league, the home league. I can't break the boys out of the habit.
Yeah, we actually just switched to Superflex this year. So we do Superflex and 3 wide receiver spots, plus kickers. It is like, I mean, our draft takes like 2.5 hours. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I got sick of listening to him complain when I took home championships.
Yeah, the funny thing about my home league is that I think we've run it 3 years, and I finished third once and second twice, but I've never managed to win it, which has been so frustrating for me.
I won the league like 5 out of 10 years, and we always put it on the trophy and stuff, and, and they were all just like, "Well, this is what you do. It's not fair." Blah blah. I'm just like, you know what, you guys, you can just do this without me. Just move on. I didn't have to listen to any more craps, and it's been nice since. All right, 4 more teams. Yeah, 10-hour pick timer. That did not play into what we were trying to do.
No, not quite.
I couldn't explain that.
Oh, sorry. What was that?
I'd say I couldn't explain that to the wife if we were going 10-hour clocks tonight.
Yeah, might take a little while. Who are the guys like round 18? I mean, there's so many guys that I find myself wanting to target in this range. Like, who are guys at the very end of drafts that intrigue you or that you're trying to grab fairly often?
Can't reveal that now, Jake. I gotta save some tricks up my sleeves.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to figure out my opponent's strategy here. We got big money on the line, so need every edge I can get.
Let's see. I like Simi Fehoko and Eric Ebron, and then I like me some T.Y. Hilton and David Johnson. Those are my round 18 guys. There you go.
Ooh, okay.
He's baiting you, Jake. He's baiting you.
Yeah. I've written up James White. I wrote him up in Best Ball Values quite a while ago. I still think he's a great pick. The big question with him is health. I don't know if you guys have heard anything But yeah, I know that
who?
hip subluxation is a brutal injury.
Who are you talking about?
James White.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's a really strong round 18 pick.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, I didn't like the way the Patriots drafted. It would seem like, okay, yeah, I am picking 12th now. Okay.
I'm out of the 9 spot. I like this a little better than 10. Slight improvement here.
I stood at 11.
We got Nick from Play to Win Fantasy here. Love my guy Nick.
Okay. It's like Carp got in this one as well. And Carp gets to pick between you two. All right, 10 seconds and we are live.
Do you guys have any like a gut feel picks in these early rounds? Because for me, it's Mark Andrews and Kyle Pitts. Like I just really feel like you're going to need one of those guys to, win any big money in best ball this year. But I don't have a ton of data to back that up, other than tight ends being a very valuable position to have the best player at.
What do you think, Dan?
I love just the stack philosophy there. So depending on, first, second round, I'm, looking running back, wide receiver, and then kind of letting that determine, some upcoming picks. So not necessarily fixated on someone, but trying to set up my picks a couple rounds later. You do enough of these, you try to get a little variance and, a few different theories and different stacks.
Yeah, that's another thing that I've kind of been struggling with is like, figuring out the best way to diversify relative to like how I'm ranking players. Cause there are certain guys where like even in the early rounds, I might have them 10 spots above consensus, but like, you don't want to have some round 4 pick on 100% of your teams. That's just not good strategy. So yeah, that diversification element is still kind of something I'm working out.
Wide receivers going early.
Oh boy.
That's good for us.
Eckler going ahead of McCaffrey, I think is really interesting.
I have Eckler ahead of McCaffrey.
Ooh, I mean, I get the argument. I definitely understand the argument, and I think outside of like the huge tournaments, it can definitely make sense. But I just don't see a player with comparable upside to McCaffrey, which is why when I'm playing like these huge DraftKings or Underdog tournaments, I'm almost exclusively taking CMC. I don't love Najee Harris, but he's the guy I'm going to take. It's a tricky spot.
I was eyeing him up. This is where pick 11 gets like unattractive. Which direction do we want to go here?
Yeah.
Feels a little rich on some of these running backs in round 1. There's some receivers, how do I want to form a stack? And I am running out of time. So I'm going to go with a homer pick here. And see what value slides to me. I just think there's a lot of volume coming Lamb's way in Dallas. Hopefully he plays the slot a lot more.
I find myself targeting the other Dallas receivers. I feel like I'm on Gallup and guys like James Washington a little bit more than I am CD.
Seeing Washington, I could see him rotating with the rookie they drafted, and then you got to wait a few weeks on Gallup.
Yeah.
I'll get my running back value here. I'm hoping that Detroit offense continues to evolve and Swift has a good year.
I just What's that?
I was just going to say I love getting Andrews in this spot. I think I have Andrews 14th in my best ball rankings. I'm a huge fan. I mean, I think with Marquise Brown out, he's just going to smash.
Oh yeah.
I can see him being tight end 1 this season.
Yeah, I think him and Pitts both have a pretty solid shot at tight end 1. Pitts, I think, is really interesting and is a guy that I'm taking a lot, but probably won't be looking at in this particular draft.
I need to get over my overanalyzation of the Pro Bowl. You know how we're like DFS junkies too. So I have Pitts in the DFS lineup. He's like jogging every route in the Pro Bowl, and it just as a coach at heart, it just bothered me watching him jog every route. So I need to get over that soon because I know he's an elite dynasty talent, especially when you get like 2-point PPR at tight ends in a lot of our leagues.
Pro Bowl DFS is great because the edges are like astronomical, but the game is so bad. I mean, I'd rather do pretty much anything than watch the Pro Bowl.
That's how desperate I get for football that time of year.
All right. Well, I'm the one grinding USFL every week right now. So
you're grinding. I did it for a couple weeks, and then I just life got busy. I lost the USFL itch.
Oh man. Well, yeah, and like the way they're reporting injuries and the way DraftKings was, made some decisions with their contests, like it really turned a lot of people off, unfortunately. But it is a lot of fun, and I mean, I don't know, it's cool to see these guys, playing for really their final shot in the NFL. I love the stories, and there's some genuinely really good players, some guys who I think should get a shot on NFL rosters. So it's been fun.
I agree, man. Just to get his former coach, the love of the game, that opportunity, and it's tough. You got to get the right break. You got to know the right coaches, and then there is some talented guys that'll get some opportunities from it. Should be more interesting next year when the XFL rolls around. Yeah,
I think the XFL is a much larger budget too, although I'm not 100% on that. So I would imagine they'd be able to attract a little better talent overall.
So the early relationship they're getting with the National Football League, and then that contract with ESPN and Disney. There's some things that those other leagues haven't been able to do, so they might have a chance of sustaining.
I was wondering when AJ Brown was going to go.
Yeah, how are you? I was going to ask, how are you valuing AJ Brown in these kinds of drafts? Because I don't know. I'm having a hard time figuring out kind of where I want to put him in my rankings, just given it's a pretty significant downgrade quarterback wise for him moving to Philadelphia.
Go ahead, Wes.
No, I mean we'll see. I mean I think Jalen Hurts got a lot of pressure on him here because they really can't make any excuses. So I mean I think if it doesn't work out like right away, I mean. I think they're committed to him, but Minshew's waiting. So yeah, I mean, I don't really look at it like a big downgrade. That the one concern would be, I mean, because we saw, for much of the year they didn't run the ball very much. Yeah. So and I don't really like their backfield right now. I think I think that's probably the one spot where they need to address next year. So, yeah, I mean, I like him quite a bit. I'm definitely going to help having Devonta on the other side.
Definitely been thinking about some Eagle stacks and some of these best balls. Like Jalen Hurts is the only quarterback that you could probably say in the same breath is if he doesn't do a good job, he's out next year, so it's okay. But in the same breath, he could be an MVP, breakthrough guy this year potentially with all that talent around him. Just could he throw the ball? We'll see.
Yeah.
All right, on the clock.
I think Eagles futures are really interesting too. Like betting, I think it's plus 250 for them to win the NFC East. I think that's a very interesting bet. I'm not sure if it's one that I'm going to make, but it's something I've thought about quite a bit. I just see a huge range of outcomes for the Eagles overall. But I know that there are a lot of people who are quite bullish overall. So.
I keep stacking these young, talented receivers here. That was a tough pick, too. A lot of ways to go.
So we are almost at the end of round 3 with Wes on the clock here. Here's the big board looks like so far. Good pick on Montgomery there, Wes.
Thank you.
It's tricky too because you get those back-to-back picks and then you got a 22 pick gap before you go again. So if you want a guy like Montgomery or Breece Hall, you kind of have to reach 10 or so spots.
Yeah.
It's a tough part out of the 12 spot.
Yeah, the closest thing that I have to a home league is a league Mike Clay set up way back in the day, and Scott actually got into it last year. But it looks like we might disband. I'm not 100% sure what we're gonna do, but it kind of sucks. It's half PPR. I got a monster squad, so definitely didn't like that. People are like, maybe we should just. I'm like, yeah, right. I see what y'all are doing.
I'm hoping to get some tight end value there with Kittle a couple rounds later than that Andrews pick. I know he's going a lot higher last year. Hopefully a young quarterback like Trey Lance will use him a little bit more. I know there's those couple weeks he always kind of disappears a little bit, blocks a little more, but hopefully he stays healthy and has a big year.
Yeah.
And now I can just forget about tight end for a while.
Do you guys think Debo's actually going to get traded?
Nah.
Yeah, that's what I'm leaning to. Seems like mostly smoke there.
I just can't envision a scenario where that makes any sense.
I think that window passed.
You think they'll hold off on the running back carries to keep him happy?
Yeah, he doesn't want to do that anymore. So I don't think it's something that they're gonna force him into. Definitely not. And it'll probably be part of the discussions that they'll have. Is he'll make that clear before he signs.
Yeah, I wonder how much that may have contributed to them drafting a running back in the third round.
Yeah, I mean it's possible, and but that we saw last year with Elijah that they just rely on the run game so much. That, it makes sense either way. But yeah, I mean, look at the carries that Debo was taking. I mean, it wasn't just like a couple; it was pretty significant. So yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense to get Tyrion. So
man,
they had a lot of injuries last year.
On the board.
Yeah, they did.
If Mitchell stays healthy, hopefully they bring in that rookie to compete and keep pushing Sermon. They have a little more depth. Hopefully they don't need Debo as much in the running game.
Yeah, well, and I don't think they'll and Jeff Wilson, he'll be able to focus on special teams and. So we are flying through here.
Yeah,
just past the 50th pick.
Ton of really good receivers on the board.
Yeah.
Really like everyone pretty much is available.
There's a lot of depth there. I mean, some good guys just went, and there's still some studs, like you're saying, on the board, Jake.
Man, Juju at wide receiver 27 just really feels like a trap to me. He's probably one of my bigger fades in those first 5 or 6 rounds.
That's a ridiculous ranking.
Who is that?
Yeah. Juju, wide receiver 27, 57.1.
I mean, he looked good like a month and a half ago, but not after they signed MVS and drafted more.
Yeah, that was what I figured. I mean, when I was looking at rankings, before free agency or before they signed MVS before the draft, it was like, I get why he's being drafted here, but I really feel like they're going to add someone, and I kind of thought, yeah, Will Fuller, MVS.
Oh. Whoever Drink Runner is, I hate you.
big Gabe Davis guy.
You didn't know?
I mean, I figured. So you take him ahead of Amari Cooper?
You know what? I'm not going to talk about players that are still on the board. Okay.
All right.
You had to open your mouth about all the wide receivers on the board. Look, 2, 4, 6. I mean, they're just falling. 8 of the last 9 picks have been wide receivers.
I'll risk the early season suspension, and I'll take Judy.
Still heartbroken. My boy Cooper left my Cowboys. All right. Which direction? Go here.
Where do you land? Or I'll wait until he's off the board before I ask the question, Wes.
This is painful. Just too good for me to leave out there.
All right. I guess I might as well take a wide receiver.
Where do you land on Sutton versus Judy, Wes? Because they're being drafted at almost identical spots right now.
Yeah, I think there's plenty to go around.
All right, I'm gonna go opposite of what Wes said here a little bit before. I know he wasn't liking this backfield. I know it drives me crazy a little bit sometimes, but improved team, all these offensive weapons around him, and a good O-line. I'm not gonna pass Miles Sanders up right here. Cross my fingers. As a Cowboys fan, I hate it though.
They rotate so many backs, and then Jalen Hurts takes so many carries. I like the individual. I just don't like the offense that he plays in.
They relied heavy on that run game. I'm just hoping there's enough to make it, good enough value in the 6th round. Well, Wes, I know you got all those analytics broken down, so you're probably right, but
yeah, I don't know. I don't know everything. Definitely not. I'm not going to act like I do either.
You put the work in, though. Enjoy your articles on the DFS weekend there. When you break down a team by team, it's definitely helpful, too.
Appreciate the kind words. Let's see how far DeAndre Hopkins falls. It's always one of the things I'm looking at in each of these drafts.
6-game suspension's tough.
Yeah.
Tough for Kyler, too.
It's usually one of those guys that lands on a roster that has their clock run out.
I kind of like the idea, though, of targeting some of these, suspended guys or guys who may not be healthy to start the season in the larger tournaments like Best Ball Mania 3 or whatever, just because those final 4 or 5 weeks of the season, once you get into the tournament, are so much more valuable than the first 5 or 6 weeks that the suspension, probably isn't a huge deal overall, at least for the, the quality of your team.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you got to wait so long on these picks.
Right.
When you're, at the top or the bottom. That's why I hate it. I have extreme attention deficit disorder.
So, Wes, I really want to know where would you rank, like in a draft like this, roughly where would you have Gabriel Davis ranked at his position? Wide receiver 20?
Wide receiver 20 is where I have him.
Boy. Man. Gabriel Davis seems to be one of the big, how would you say it? I guess like pivot points or controversial, draft guys.
Let's put it this way. I'm setting the floor on touchdowns for Gabriel Davis at 12.
Whoa, man.
I'm not joking.
Wow. Okay. I mean,
I'm not joking.
I love it. I'm not sure where I stand. I think I'm pretty close to consensus, but
yeah.
I mean, especially when Wes is this bullish, like I have a hard time ignoring that.
20 feels rich, but I see the talent. I mean, 22, awesome, incredible offense. Diggs is getting older. There's a path to that for sure.
Definitely.
Where Wes is an analytics guy, I'm a film guy, and I do love his film. I mean, he's talented.
Yeah, I don't like the labels you're tossing around. I am not an analytics guy.
Oh,
I'm marry the two.
okay.
Yeah. I take it you don't read my Dynasty articles.
I catch as much content as I can. Some of them I have, Wes. So I might be a little hard on the analytics label there, but I just let the smart guys do all the work, and then I soak in that data to help me and kind of what I'm watching.
Yeah. Yeah. I just feel like you can't do one without the other. I know some people disagree, but that's okay.
Wes, where do you think the biggest edge comes from in watching film? Is it just pure player eval or team tendencies, or what do you think it is?
Let me make my picks. Yeah, it's tough because hold on, let me make my picks. See if there's anybody else here I'm looking at. Yeah, for me, you can't determine an identity for a player until you watch him on tape. You just can't do it. It like with college football, there's only so much you can do. So you have to rely on the analytics at a certain point. But with the NFL, if you play serious college football fantasy, then you realize how simple the NFL is. And there's no way to look. It just feels like an overkill just to stare at analytics all day. I'm an analytics guy. Yeah, for sure. I'm a whatever I can get my hands on kind of guy. And so film analytics, and I just feel like for me, what works best is merging the two.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
Like right now I'm building this database for college football, and it's easily the biggest I've ever put together. And I just keep adding all these different dimensions to it, and just because I know during the season it's gonna come in handy. So
yeah, I mean, I cannot wait to see the final product, man. I'm so excited.
Yeah, looking forward to it. What about you, Dan? Do you play college or Devy, or just stick with the NFL?
I haven't ventured down that road. I wish I could, but I just stick with the NFL. Primarily Dynasty and Best Ball and DFS. Those three formats I can't soak in enough.
Yeah.
Chasing that Millie Maker in DraftKings.
Yeah. So like I was saying about Pat Freiermuth, the one guy that he's not drafted yet, but he's further down the board. It's Chase Claypool. I hate the quarterback wide receiver combo there. It's just wasn't a good pick for him.
Yeah, that's a tough thing for me with these Pittsburgh receivers, especially Deontay Johnson. I mean, the volume last year was just legendary.
No, it's going to continue.
You think so? Like regardless of quarterback. All right.
Because Deontay, he's not a vertical. See that's like one of the things that you really. I mean, you can pick up from analytics, but something that's so much easier to see on film is Deontay's a short guy. He's a possession receiver, and same with Freiermuth, and that's exactly what Pickett. That's what he likes. You go back to working with Jordan Addison at Pittsburgh, and I mean, he during his career, he leads all college wide receivers in that still have eligibility in targets per game, and that's because Pickett he peppered him underneath, just peppered him, and then he had one of the top yak guys in the country just churning the yardage. So where do you think all those a big chunk of those touchdowns and a big chunk of the yardage came from? Is that underneath work? Plus, he had Gavin Bartholomew. He's like a top 5 tight end in college as his backup tight end, and he had another guy that actually went undrafted that was a transfer from Florida that put up just ridiculous number. Well, I mean, not ridiculous, but so it's the same in college football as it is in the NFL at the tight end position. There's not that much production, right? So when a guy's putting up 60 yards per game, that's pretty significant. Yeah. And he had a couple of receivers that were putting up decent yardage, and then he still has these other 2 tight ends. I mean, it was just like an underneath game, and that's exactly what we're going to see in Pittsburgh. And I'm so surprised that they made that pick, because you would think that Canada would be like, okay, I'm not gonna get in that position again. I'm gonna make sure that this time we get a vertical quarterback with a cannon. Oh no, let's go Ben Roethlisberger Jr.
Yeah. I'm sorry for sniping you, Michael. I'm doing my best here. I do love where we're at right now. I love this range of wide receivers. I think pretty much all these guys are values. Big fan of Christian Watson, Lazard, Robert Woods, Gallup.
Oh, you telling us all? You trying to bait us there, buddy? You're being so kind right now.
I'm just giving you my thoughts, Wes.
Uh-huh. So kind. All right, I'm just going rookie heavy here, man.
So I see, Wes, you went super RB heavy early on. Is that because you just really like the wide receivers you can grab in the later rounds?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like wide receivers much deeper. Plus, the half PPR format.
I've been leaning that way too. My problem is that I only have Najee Harris, and I could really use another running back.
And that's another reason, because I wanted to clean out the running back position so you all would hurt.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I'll take Melvin Gordon pretty much right at ADP. I think I don't think this is likely, but I think it's possible they kind of recreate that split from last year, and that Gordon can soak up about 45% of that running back production. So it's hard to love the pick though.
It's a little rich for me. It's such a late signing.
Yeah.
I feel like he's going to come in as a 70-30 guy.
Okay. Yeah. See, that's kind of my lean too. But I really didn't feel like I could wait much longer on running back.
Yeah.
It was in that mix there. I went with just gambled on the Houston backfield with the rookie upside with Pierce. I was looking at Gordon, but I think with Melvin Gordon, I think the split's not as is a little more favorable for Williams this year, but 17 games is a lot in the NFL, man. You still got to keep Williams healthy, and Denver's got a good offense.
Tyler Algier as the RB45. That's just laughable.
What do you think he should be, Wes?
Well, I mean, a 5th-round guy with no athleticism at all at any testing metric. I mean, just going to running over a group of 5 defenders does not impress me.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know what, RB. I can't. Originally in the dynasty ranks, I had him down pretty far, and then, but that's not how I do it. I don't just go with my opinion, and then I correct some of the massive differences between myself and, I call it the consensus, but I'm really only looking at certain rankers, people that I completely trust, and that I've built some trust with through their ranks, using it as a consensus to kind of, work through the overcorrection and adjust the rankings from there. But Yeah, I'm not. I moved. I ended up moving Algier up, and he's got a decent opportunity. But yeah, I don't love it. I don't love the pick from Atlanta. I mean, they're going to have to break down and draft a real running back. They have to.
Do you find yourself bullish on Cordero Patterson then for this season at all?
No. Did you see him run last year? He was the least efficient running back in the NFL. He was good as a receiver.
Yeah, that's true. I think
he was terrible on the ground. Awful. The worst running back efficiency-wise qualified in the NFL last year.
Wow. Yeah, I'm trying to find. Yeah, so it must have been all receiving because he exceeded his expected fantasy points per game by.
No. He did really well, and he scored some touchdowns, but that doesn't mean he was effective efficiency wise.
Yeah, he scored about 0.2 more touchdowns per game than expected.
Yeah. I love adding guys to my queue and then seeing them instantly drop off.
Yeah, I've been terrified to add anybody to my queue since I'm I'm the one streaming their screen. So
yeah. That's
trying
true.
to keep the cards close to the chest.
I never look at the video screen. I always reduce that. So I don't even know. I completely forgot you were sharing your screen.
I didn't realize that's Rondale Moore. Rondale Moore is a guy who I'm just like not touching at all at cost. Like I think a 118 ADP for Rondale Moore is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't touching him last year, and I wasn't touching him in Dynasty. Look, when he was a freshman, I added him to the Bolitnikoff ballot. He had already been eliminated, and I added him. I was all in on him. This kid was so electric. I just thought he had such a great year. And then I got to know him a little better. Watching him sit out this game with this and that game with that. And he really rubbed me the wrong way, in fantasy. And I made the decision to move on from him. Here's a guy that I'm pretty high on this year in Underdog. I think he's going to have a good year. He's you gotta, when you consider the type of quarterback that Mac Jones is, he's not an over the top guy.
That's a nice pick. He's healthy. He's still a talented receiver.
Yeah. Guess I'm going to draft all the first round wide receivers. I like Dotson. So here's the thing with Dotson. It was like we were watching Wentz last year playing with Indianapolis. Pittman had a good year, but it could have been so much better if he had a quarterback that could attack man coverage and cover three. Those are the two weaknesses in Wentz's game. That's why these teams don't like him that much, because you're not going to play teams that don't play cover one and cover three that much, and so it wasn't a good fit for Pittman, because that's what he does best. But still, he's a good receiver and he did well. But here's the thing about Dotson. He was right there with Chris Olave as a cover two wide receiver, and that's exactly what Wentz does best, is cover two.
I really enjoyed watching Dotson last year. I live up in Scranton, Pennsylvania. I work at Lackawanna College, and we're a JUCO football program. We've been producing kids to Penn State. Brisker, who just got drafted by the Bears, was one of our kids. And Jair Brown, their safety, who'll go pro next year, is one of our kids. But just watching Dotson on the field every week with, not great quarterback play, he's an impressive kid.
Yeah. So what do you guys think about Taysom Hill this year?
Man, I mean, he seems like a great, like on Underdog, he has tight end eligibility. On DraftKings, he's a quarterback. So on DraftKings, like there's no reason to touch him. On Underdog, I think it's really intriguing because if he somehow starts a game at quarterback, I mean, you've hacked the system. Like you're basically cheating.
or just the fact that he carries the ball as with tight end eligibility.
Yeah, he could be the wildcat guy who gets those goal line carries, and
Exactly.
that's crazy valuable. He's like tight end 25 or something right now. Like,
yeah,
I mean, I think he's a fantastic late round pick.
Yeah, for sure. I'll tell you another guy I like quite a bit is well, you know what? I'm not going to say it. I'll tell you later when I draft him. How about that?
Okay.
Or when somebody else drafts him. Yeah, I almost took Fields, but then I just had to pull back. I big on Justin Fields, man. I'm a big believer. And I love all these reports being tossed around by a bunch of people, don't know what they're talking about. Just they build these opinions based off of nothing, saying, oh, the team doesn't believe in him and this and that.
Are you worried about his O-line and receiver corps? Like I like Fields. I just wondered if it's a year or two away until the Bears really get a grasp of that roster.
Yeah, so I like the Vilas pick. He's a former 5-star wide receiver, sub 4.4 speed, electric feet. So you got an inside out complement to Mooney, plus you got the tight end Cole Kmet, and I mean and then a guy that I think is has been kind of slept on a little bit. I'm drawing a blank. The guy they signed from Kansas City,
Byron Pringle.
Byron Pringle. I like Byron Pringle quite a bit. He's 28 already. You're not going to shock anybody by going after him. But he's a guy that he's big play receiver, man. They're surrounding him with the type of receivers that Fields can actually use his arm. And that was something that they weren't able to do last year with just Mooney, because they were shading safety to Mooney's side. He wasn't able to throw the ball deep, so Justin Fields is over here trying to check down because he has no other choice. So I like these moves. I think Vilas is going to be an electric underneath guy for him. So that's going to be there. But then with Pringle and Mooney on the outside, and then I still think they're going to go wide receiver in the first round next year. But I'm not worried about it. I mean, they're probably not going to make the playoffs or anything. I'm not talking about craziness here. Just we're going to see some definite improvements in 2022 for sure.
See, Trevor Lawrence just went. Speaking of those young quarterbacks, maybe with some better coaching this year, we could see a little more of the Trevor Lawrence we hoped for.
Maybe. I didn't like the wide receiver signings. Christian Kirk's okay.
I mean, for the dollar value, it didn't make a lot of sense. Both Kirk and Zay Jones were. I mean, everyone was shocked at those contracts.
Yeah,
they're like New England type moves a year before with Aguilar and Kendrick Bourne. They got paid some good money the year before, not really fantasy studs by any means.
Well, that's why. So Aguilar, he didn't work out at all. He's a vertical receiver. Mac Jones can't throw from one sideline to the other. He's got perhaps the weakest arm in the NFL of starting quarterbacks. And it doesn't make any sense that they went out and drafted Tyquan Thornton. What are they going to do to get him the ball? Are they going to toss it to a running back that's got a quarterback background and a strong arm? I don't know how they're going to get him the ball because Aguilar, you couldn't even get Aguilar the ball.
Former QB Jacoby Myers will have to be throwing downfield.
There you go.
So I just got Jamison Crowder here, and I think ADP of wide receiver 64 is just way too low for Crowder. I mean, he's going to step into the Cole Beasley role, and I had a tweet the other day. I think it was over the last 3 years, Beasley averaged 9.7 half PPR fantasy points per game, which would have been good for a wide receiver 37 last year. So, I mean, there's no upside. Like, he's not going to have like crazy games like somebody like MVS will. Like, he won't put up a 30-point game, but his floor is super secure, and he's, I think, an excellent late round pick.
I would agree. I think they're going to use a lot of 2 tight end sets.
Okay.
And that's the one part of the offense I think is going to change, is that we're not going to. So Dayball used 10 personnel more than any team in the NFL. It was either, I'm pretty sure it was they're right there with Arizona every year, right? Yeah. And so we're going to see that in New York now, and that's why they went out and got Wandell. It's because look, who do they have at tight end? I'm sorry, San Diego State tight end. You're more of a tight end 3. You're not going to get on the field offensively. It's going to be when they put heavy packages out there. Forget his name, but it's going to be a situation where they run 4, and that's what they're going to take away from Buffalo. We're not going to see that as much because they brought in the tight end from Tampa Bay, and then they got Dawson Knox. So we're going to see him use them. We'll see Crowder. We just won't see those 10 personnel as much.
Okay. What do you guys think of Will Fuller at where he's being drafted? Because I think, if he lands in the right spot, you're gonna crush his average draft position. But it is, it's obviously concerning that he's been dealing with this finger injury for 8 months or something, 6 months, just forever.
It's like, what's going on, brother?
Yeah, right.
Starting to worry about you.
Yeah. But man,
too many injuries.
Healthy,
I think between the uncertainty of where he lands, he's just not going to get that dream situation he had on the turf with Watson years ago, and then those injuries mount after a while.
So I take it you guys think Dameon Pierce is going to be the RB1 there in Houston.
His film reminded me of Ramondre Stevenson a little bit. Hearing some good things, seeing an opportunity. Marlon Mack's there too. I don't know what to expect out of Marlon Mack.
And then Rex Burkhead,
Rex doesn't go away.
He was actually effective considering the O-line,
Yeah, I could definitely see a gross committee playing out. I think Dameon Pierce's profile is just so interesting too. Given the talent, but the fact that he didn't see a ton of touches in college, I'm not exactly sure where I fall there. But I do like him at ADP.
To roll the dice on his upside there. I needed some running back options.
Yeah, I think Houston could be a better fantasy offense than people expect. I think Davis Mills is going to surprise some people. I think Cooks and Mechie could end up being pretty decent fantasy contributors. Cooks especially.
Well, don't be too quick with Mechie. He'll get on the field, but okay. It's going to be tough. The explosion's going to be. It's not going to come back right away. It's going to take a little while. I would look for him to kind of follow the same path that he did at Alabama, kind of where he starts getting on the field a little bit his first year, and then his second year when Devonta was on the other side, and he was definitely valuable, especially after Waddle got hurt. But more, somewhere around 40 receptions, something like that, 2023. Okay. But 2024, I think, is the big year for him.
That's tough to rebound off an injury like that, coming to the NFL halfway through the year and then producing fantasy.
I think Jameson, he'll follow a similar path, but he's just got that just unbelievable speed,
Yeah. So, Wes, I'm assuming you would like Nico Collins in these drafts a lot more than Mechie.
Yeah, I think he's gonna have a clearer path to playing time this year. Yeah,
that makes sense.
I'm not a huge Nico Collins fan. I think. Oh, I'm on the clock. All right. But you can't deny the opportunity that he has right now.
Yeah. Man, my running backs are terrible.
We are getting thin at quarterback. So, speaking of, there you go.
Ooh. Love the pick, Les.
I love Davis Mills. Dude can ball. I love that. I love how he played last year. So, we were talking about Davis Mills on the draft stream, Jake, and you brought up some of his performances, some of his fantasy point outputs. But go check those games because he didn't start those games. There were a couple where he had bad games. Indianapolis is clearly they've got his number, no question. Indianapolis shut him down, but there were a couple other games where he didn't start, where he played like just a quarter or two, and that's the reason he didn't have big outputs in those games. But yeah, man, this kid blew me away. 12 games in college. I'm just like, how am I supposed to evaluate this kid? And Houston, man, they hit that one out of the park. I think they're going to stick with him, even with the big quarterback class next year. I think they're going to ride him.
Yeah, I definitely ended up coming around to Mills as the season wore on, and he was always kind of fun for DFS because he had the potential for 20-25 point games and was just 0% ownership every week. So
for sure.
Underdog is liking your team, Jake. Your projected
I don't,
points
I
are
don't
pretty
know
rich.
I don't know if I am though. Is the thing. I'm so weak at running back. It's pretty concerning.
How do you like your team, Dan?
I'm a little bit heavy on week 9 by wide receivers here as I reflect. I do like, as I like to stack. So I was happy to get Dak with Lamb and Gallup, Burrow with Boyd. Running backs are a little risque for me. So I have some mixed emotions about this team.
Mm-hmm.
How are you feeling, Wes?
Yeah, there were a couple of picks, a couple of guys that really wanted that, got sniped. But other than that, I'm feeling okay.
Yeah, I love your running backs. And I want to say it was Jack Miller who did a piece on how because, rookie, I think both wide receivers and running backs, their production really picks up in the second half of the season. Because of that, they're extra valuable in best ball, especially in these larger tournament formats. So I think there's a lot of merit to kind of doing what Wes is doing and targeting a lot of these rookies in some of these best ball contests, especially the big tournaments. If this was a Best Ball Mania 3 entry, I'd really love Wes's team.
Yeah, I wanted Tyrion Davis-Price.
I'm liking him a lot. I've been landing him in a lot of these best balls. Take him a little bit above the ADP, but where he just really fits. His ADP is low to me. I could see a scenario where he's, if the rumors are true, where the Niners don't like Sermon. I see a scenario where he could beat out Mitchell, or at the very least get enough reps to, have some good value.
I think Mitchell, one of the most underrated running backs in the league. This kid can ball out. I was so impressed by Mitchell. Just if it wasn't for the injuries, and it was nothing major, but it still held him out. But I think in the long run, it was actually there were some smart moves because they had him for the playoffs and they beat Green Bay with him, and so worked out pretty well.
They know how to produce running backs in San Francisco, that's for sure.
They do.
Do you think there's any hope left for Trey Sermon, Wes?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, he's not done.
All right, good. I'm glad to hear it. I've taken him near the end of some of these best ball drafts, so I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, no, he's not done.
He's a heck of an athlete. I think he's just fitting in that offense, and whatever we don't know behind the scenes, it's...
Oh, geez. Going back and forth between two guys. All right, since we're talking about him, I'll go Sermon.
You're asking about those pick 18 guys at the beginning of the show, Jake.
Yeah.
My guy's right here. I liked them last year. It didn't quite materialize, but once they moved Hollywood Brown, I like Devin Duvernay. I think he's a heck of an athlete.
Ooh, yeah.
Someone's got to catch the ball.
Duvernay's going to play a ton, so he at least got that locked in. Another guy I talked about early on was James White as like my favorite round 18 guy, and I'm super weak at running back, so I basically have no choice.
I had him in the queue. I wanted to snipe you just for fun, but I had so many week 9 bye wide receivers. I had to load up with some extra options there. And I'm out of picks, so there's one name I'll just throw out there that's like so low on the ADPs, not get going. Everybody busts me on the Dynasty Theory Discord because I'm high on this guy, but I love tight end Tommy Tremble. He's just, as a coach, he's just a nasty football player. There is receiving potential there. The guy's like a workout freak. There's something about him. I see an opportunity there in Carolina to be their tight end 1, and hopefully with some better quarterback play. We'll see. Maybe they land Baker or something.
He's decent in Dynasty for sure.
Yeah,
Somebody Scott loves is Amari Rodgers as his last pick. Because if he ends up as the starting slot in Green Bay, you're crushing if you get him in round 18. I don't hate taking Antonio Brown in round 18. I know it's certainly possible he doesn't play at all and he posts a 0. But if he does play, he's like a wide receiver 3 at worst. So I don't think that's a bad pick by any means either.
It's good to hear some analysis on him. I think I was going through my rankings the other day. I'm like, what? I don't even know what I think of Amari Rodgers. I haven't seen enough.
Well, here's the guy I was telling you earlier that I didn't want to talk about because I was going to try to. Is Deontay Foreman.
Ooh, okay.
He's the guy that I'm big on, especially if C-Mac if he tears a hamstring again,
Yeah.
Or if they could wise up and preserve McCaffrey just a little bit and give Foreman some burn. He looked really good in Tennessee.
Yeah. All right, guys.
That was awesome. I think I'm pretty happy with my team. Definitely really strong at wide receiver. Tight end I feel good about. Quarterback I feel good about. Running back is iffy, but I think I got enough depth there that I'll be okay. What about you guys? Final thoughts on your teams?
Yeah, I've got some round 14. Week 14 bye guys, but nothing that I don't think my team will be able to work around. So I'm liking it, especially if Davis Mills works out, and and also especially if Deshaun Watson, if he gets cleared and he's able to play, I'm gonna love the Peoples-Jones and Njoku picks. So. Yeah, I need a couple things to happen. I don't have that top wide receiver, but I'm okay with that. Yeah, I like it pretty well.
Probably similar. I like it, don't love it. Comfortable with the stacks. Need that Dallas offense to bounce back with Dak and Lamb. Expecting Lamb to get a lot more volume. Also have Gallup in there, and then a Burrow Boyd stack. Kittle secures me at tight end, and I like the roster construction. 5 running backs, 9 receivers. Again, just with the 2 stud quarterbacks and Kittle at tight end, I didn't go with the depth there, but there's still a little more, too many ifs than I like, but we'll see what happens. It's a pleasure drafting with you guys tonight.
Yeah,
it's been great, guys. Great fun.
Yeah, and so we'll be doing a lot of these. I think
Oh,
Ben
yeah.
actually mentioned we'll be doing like one of these a week, and I'm going to try to get in on as many of those as I can. I'll probably be on every week. So like I said, I want to get more of these going. I want to do more of these and also some best balls and so yeah, definitely both of you. If you ever want to join me when I'm doing them, then you're more than welcome. And but other than that, we'll catch you next time. And good luck with your drafting.
Appreciate you, Jim.